how to be around unconscious people and overcome the isolation phase after spiritual awakening. Now, who is this video for? If you find yourself in such a place in your relationships where you're naturally annoyed, irritated, and you're even a little bit judgmental about the unconscious people around you and how they treat their consciousness, how they treat themselves, and you want to pass through that phase as fast as possible so that you can surround yourself with your high vibe tribe with whom you share similar values and with whom you can have the conversations, the deep conversations that your soul craves, well, then this video is specifically for you. Inside this video, I'll show you the whole journey of awakened relationships, how to get to that stage. Looking at my experience for the last 5 years or so in that aspect of life, I'll show you some of the insights I have, and I'll show you some of the key points that you need to remember to transition through this isolation phase as fast as possible. That being the case, let's directly get inside the video because I have so many things I want to share with you. Hey there, my friend, I am Danny from the Higher Consciousness channel, and I'm here to help you expand your awareness, step into higher consciousness, and fulfill your inner potential. Let me actually directly show you this journey to awakened relationships, how it generally looks like for a lot of people who are going through their spiritual awakening. At some point in your journey, and please let me know if this is the case, if you've found this to be true in your experience. At some point, you start realizing that there are so many, I would say, superficial people around you. People who get into a lot of dramas, who are kind of intriguing. And whenever you're in this kind of social circles, this can be the people, your colleagues in your job, this can be your friends and social circles around you, or your family. It doesn't matter, but you just find yourself being really irritated, annoyed, and judgmental around them. And you're just being curious, why are not there people who have similar values to me in my life? And when I can enjoy relationships like that, I've asked these same questions a couple of years back, and let me tell you what I've went through. So going through this journey of awakened relationships, I've kind of seen that there are three main phases that people go through. The first one is when you recognize that this is the case. There is a lot of drama, a lot of talking behind each other's back, a lot of intrigue, and I don't want to experience that. This is not the kind of social circles I want to be surrounded with. And this is the moment of recognition, the moment of there must be a change. And if you've reached that moment, congratulations. It's a beautiful moment because this first phase naturally leads to the second phase, the isolation phase. You start spending less and less time with some of those social circles. Maybe you start not preferring to spend time with your family because the topics that they find interesting and that they converse about, they're just not of your interests. You don't see value in talking about politics, about other people, being critical of what's happening around the world, positioning yourself as a victim, which is a lot of time what happens in these unconscious people around you. So you naturally start preferring to spend more and more time with yourself. And anytime you're around those unconscious people, you're irritated, you're annoyed. You just want to go back to your own inner space. You want to maybe go and do some inner work, meditate, do yoga, whatever your practice is. But this is the isolation phase. As if there is, we could say, this inner being that calls you forth to spend more time with it. And you naturally become a little bit more isolated. Now, if you have been worried about that and you felt a little bit sad and you are grieving that you need to let go of some of the people around you, this is only natural, my friend. Because as you can see in the third phase, everything starts shifting, and it starts shifting really fast. I'll get into the third phase in a moment, but before that, what happens is in the second phase is that it's like your higher self, this inner being of yours, it's in a way asking you to let go and be patient. And trust me, I understand how hard it can be to let go of some of the people that you really love, how hard it can be to let go of relationships that you have cultivated for years, and now you understand that they are not beneficial neither for you, not for the other party. So this is challenging, and it's okay to be challenging. And if you feel sad and lonely at times, that's perfectly natural. This is perfectly natural for the isolation phase. What happens naturally if you go through that phase, and I'll tell you how to more easily go through that phase by the end of the video, so stay with me. What happens is that this second phase, which is in a way the valley, in the first phase you recognize that there needs to be a change. In the second, you realize that, well, I need to go within and have the inner space, clear the inner space from all the feelings and all these inner conversations and belief systems of what has been happening around me with all the social circles that I don't prefer. Clear that inner space so that I can find the space within to imagine how I would want my relationships to look like. And this is the value of the isolation phase. So if you felt a little bit lonely in that phase, it's only natural. Going forward, you go to the third phase in which you start attracting people with whom you share similar values. You're able to have these deeper conversations, authentic and vulnerable and really sincere. And this is technically your high vibe tribe. It's people who align with your vibration. So this is the third phase, and this is naturally where you're going. But now, what if you get stuck in that annoyance and irritation around the unconscious people you find yourself surrounded with? Well, first, let us ask this question. And this question has the intention to, maybe it can be a little bit triggering. It's like a hard to swallow pill. So stay with me. What do unconscious people really mean? I want to ask you, who labels people as either conscious or unconscious? And this is a really powerful question when you start contemplating it and pondering on it. Because then you start realizing that what tends to happen is that toxic people see toxic people. Let me know if you see the meaning in that. You cannot see anything other than the contents of your consciousness. So what tends to happen is, if you see toxic people around you, and I know this may be hard to accept, but it's okay if you're a little challenged. That's perfectly fine. If you see toxic people around you, then it's curious to ask, who is the toxic one? Maybe there is something a little bit toxic within myself. And now, by saying that, I don't mean that I'm perfect. Each of us is growing through our relationships. They're our ideal, perfect, crystalline mirror. And we can see ourselves in our relationships, most specifically in our romantic relationships. But maybe this is a video on another topic, because they're the biggest mirror. But so, toxic people tend to see toxic people. And awakened people, awakened souls, see awakening souls. If you're judgmental and irritated and a little bit annoyed, it can be quite the paradox to understand that maybe what you're judging in others, and this has been some of the main sights I've had along that journey, because since my relationship started transforming, this was like 4 years ago, and I've looked at that journey from the third person and seen some of the main points and themes that I've passed through, and then I've seen them in other people around me, and I've seen them in some of the friends that I needed to let go of. Then they came back into my life, and a lot of curious transformations happened. A lot of the people that I let go because I couldn't change and we didn't align, then they got back into my life, but they were different versions of themselves. And throughout that journey, what I was able to see clearly, and I'll tell you how I realized that, is that what you judge and condemn in others, you judge and reject in yourself. And this is another hard to swallow pill, because then we realize if I'm critical and judgmental of certain character traits, qualities, behaviors, thinking patterns in others, this simply means that I'm judgmental of those same things that I'm judgmental in others within myself, but I haven't had the courage to admit it. And so I've just repressed that. And now it's getting expressed in my mind whenever I'm judgmental, annoyed, and irritated. This is a paradox, but it's literally what happens. A statement that you can see if it's true. First of all, don't accept it just blindly. See if it's true, see if it's the truth for you, and then you can take it if it's the truth and work with it. It has so much practical value. What you judge and condemn in others is you judge and reject in yourself. And I was able to see that when I was letting go of some of the social circles that I didn't like, people who are talking behind my back, people who are in a lot of drama and intrigue. And then I was able to see that later on, when I've let go of them and I was in that isolation phase and I was self-reflecting, looking within, what I was able to see is that I was so critical of myself, but never admitted that. I was in a lot of personal development circles in this personal development culture. And in that culture, everybody tells you to force yourself to be better. And with that idea to force yourself to be better, to fix yourself, to always strive, and to, in a way, always hustle, with that comes a lot of self-criticism and self-condemnation. And since I was in those kind of circles, and what I was able to see is that I had the same attitude within myself. And then there was this separation within the social circles that I needed to let go of, that the people who are developing, who are growing, they were separating themselves from those who are not doing anything. And once I let go of those social circles, I was able to see that I had the same attitude that I was judging in those people that I needed to let go of. And I also was able to realize that sometimes I was talking behind my own back, not recognizing it. So I wasn't giving myself compliments and appreciating everything that I'm doing, which is valuable and I am proud of. Instead, I was always finding the faults within me, and I wasn't willing to admit them. So this is the hard to swallow pill, that what you judge and condemn in others, you judge and reject within yourself. But it's not as bad as it seems, because the opposite is also true. Along that journey, when I was leaving the isolation phase and getting into that high vibe thrive phase, which I'll get into in a moment again, I was able to see that what you acknowledge and appreciate in others and you speak about it, you are sincere enough to tell others about it, you cultivate and embody within. So when you see that somebody is really honest and courageous and you take a moment to express that appreciation, you are becoming that person. So instead of just focusing on what you don't like in others, what if we could focus on what we appreciate in others? It's simply shift of focus that each of us are capable of. And the more you can shift your focus to that, the more easily you'll be able to let go of what you judge and condemn in others, the more easily you'll be able to let go of all the self-criticism, self-condemnation, self-rejection, so on and so forth. So these are some of the main insights that I've had along my journey. Challenging relationship situations that you currently find yourself in. Your solution is not to only isolate yourself. Now, of course, take your time to look within, take your time to have the time for self-care, self-reflection, but it's not that you become alone and don't have any social circles and social interactions. In fact, you can use what triggers you for that healing to happen spontaneously directly within your relationships. And this is the faster approach. The faster you realize that, the easier you transition to that last phase. Because you don't need to stay in the isolation phase for a lot of time. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months are more than enough. Then you go back within your relationships, keep those points in mind, and anytime you feel triggered, just try to, in a way, perceive others through those points that I will share with you. Starting with challenging relationship situations, whatever they are happening for you, for your benefit. They are not happening to you. So instead of perceiving it's happening to me, you see it as this is happening for my benefit. Because awakening souls see awakening souls. Now, how to make that practical? You can simply keep those ideas in mind. Maintaining present moment awareness. By present moment awareness, I simply mean the power of your presence in this moment. So instead of getting caught up in your mind that's feeling annoying, irritated, and judgmental, critical of others, when you're in their presence, maintain that presence. Maintain present moment awareness. Going deeper into present moment awareness means that you focus on what's happening in your body. So instead of thinking about others and what you don't like in them, what's happening in my body? What's happening in my stomach? Do I feel tension in my heart? Do I feel tension in my throat? Do I feel tension in my back? Just present moment awareness. What's happening inside of my body? And then you listen to others. You understand them. As if you want to position yourself in their shoes. See what you're not able to perceive initially when you're judgmental. Maybe try to connect with their pain. Because when others are critical, talking behind other people's back, going in intrigues and being dramatic, they're just projecting their pain. If you can connect to that pain within because you maintain present moment awareness, then the need to be annoyed drops. And you're able to relate with them on a deeper level than they can understand themselves. And you're able to see that they're just passing through their awakening, which is simply awakened souls. See awakened soul. And then, since you're listening deeply, you're trying to understand where they're coming from, you're able to find the common ground. You're able to remind yourself of such a moment when you felt similar pain and maybe tell them a little bit about your journey. Maybe tell them a story that relates with their pain on a deeper level and they feel understood. And this is how you find common ground. And the unconscious people, because the subject, the title is How to Be Around Unconscious People. The unconscious people, they become your gifts in which you're able to maintain deeper present moment awareness. You're able to be aware of what happens inside of your body and share your truth. And I always say that truth holds power. If you share something truthfully, a story, relate with somebody's pain, you don't know the impact that this will have in their life. I can tell you how many times I've had that happen to me. Just being with somebody, listening deeply, and then taking time to not react, but instead respond. So it's like pausing. 3 to 5 seconds, connecting with what's happening in my body, feeling them. And then I share something, and they start crying, and we connect on a really deep level. And then we start having these deep conversations. And then what happens is some of the people around you start transitioning. Some change, others see that they don't relate with you and they leave your life, so you let them make that choice. And then other people, new people start entering your life out of nowhere because you hold on to your truth and you're present with others who are unconscious, in quotations. And lastly, it's about letting yourself speak your truth from what you're feeling. I basically said that. But sometimes this also means that you need to express boundaries. There are some people who are just, I would say, malevolent, maybe unconsciously, maybe consciously, but with them, like expressively malevolent, verbally abusive, and with them, sometimes you need to speak your boundaries. That's not okay for me. I don't experience that anymore in my relationships. I hear you, I just want you to know that's not okay for me. And I've shot a similar video, how to attract people who share similar values with you, where I go deeper into that process of expressing boundaries. You can check it out here at the end. But these are the main points I want you to keep in mind for now. If you keep these points in mind, you understand that the unconscious people around you are the biggest gift that you need for you to embody, to ground your awakening into your relationships, and you can transition so that you can transition from the isolation phase into the high vibe tribe phase as fast as possible. And then you'll see people transform, then you'll have the deeper conversations your soul is craving for, and then you'll find yourself supported and appreciated and honored by the people around you. This is how to be around unconscious people. So this was everything I wanted to share. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. If you found the video valuable, like it, comment down below, let me know what's your experience. Please share it with some friends. If you know that there is a person that needs to hear that message, this is how you can help me grow and how you can support me on my journey with this YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to it, and I'll see you around. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day, my friend. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.